afternoon. You're watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. I'm editorial cartoonist Ted Rall. CIA whistleblower John Kiriakou is my co-host and my co-pilot in this game we call life. The next hour of the news.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all. Nothing at all. So the FBI is still looking for Charlie Kirk's murderer. We'll be getting into that and exactly what comes next. The former president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, whose first name I'm probably mispronouncing, has just been convicted on all 5 counts, including plotting to overturn the 2022 election. We'll get into that. I really want to talk to you, John, about this story about the Venezuelan boat airstrike. It's just got me fuming. Yeah. And some news that I didn't think I would ever say ever again. Iran-Contra is back in the news.
I know. That's the best news of the day.
It is the best news of the day.
It is. I'm liking it.
So it is Thursday, September 11th, 2025. Thanks for joining us here on DeProgram. Please like, follow, and share the show. Please chime in with your comments and questions. We will get to all of the ones that we can. I got to say, there's the very first one, John, before we get into it, I want to answer this, or I think we should both answer it. From Another Wonderful Secret, the Republican Party controls all 3 branches of government. Can they do anything to help us? This was supposed to be their big chance. What happened? Why does everything keep getting worse?
Good question. Yeah, the Republicans will tell you, well, we would need 60 votes in the Senate to break cloture, so we're kind of jammed up there. And our majority is so small in the House, and the Republicans just lost 2 interim elections last week for the House, so it's tighter than ever, blah, 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 blah. The truth is that there's no coordinated policy. And even though Donald Trump is a strong political leader within his own party, he's not quite strong enough to force the Freedom Caucus people to do what he wants.
Yeah, I also think that there's a lot more of the old Republican Party baked into
coming back
to the new Republican Party than anyone, including the president, would like to admit. And so, it's the country club Republicans still running the show. They still want to cut taxes to the wealthy. They still want to get rid of social programs. They still want to suck up to big business and defense contractors. They still want to pour money into the military-industrial complex. Mm-hmm. They're not really a different party than they were in 1986. They're just...
No, you're right. You're right, and that's coming out. It's like the neocons ran for cover in 2016, and they just started coming out of their hiding places, and they haven't been squashed back down.
Sadly.
So they're becoming more and more bold. But I think you're right, Ted. I think what's happening here, and it's relatively slow motion. It's taken a little bit of time. But I think what's going to happen is the old Republican Party is going to come back once Donald Trump is gone, and they're going to be the ones in charge again. MAGA is a temporary situation.
Yeah, MAGA is a style.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
It's not an ideological orientation. I mean, and I can just ask this, for example, if I ask any real MAGA adherent, well, it's about making America great again. Okay, what does that mean specifically? I mean, and I'm not trying to be snotty.
What does that mean?
Those are it's a brilliant phrase because it's deliberately vague. It can mean anything you say. I mean, if it's like it's things that Donald Trump wants to do.
Yes.
And that's going to get old after a while.
I agree.
We got a question here, a personal question about the show from Jay Herna. Any chance Michelle returns once you start pulling in the big bucks?
Yeah, I doubt it. Michelle and I text each other, but it's always just interesting articles that we find, or she texted me a joke the other day she thought I would find funny, but I don't think she really wants to come back. She hasn't said anything to me. Has she said anything to you?
No, she hasn't. I haven't really. I mean, no, we're Facebook friends. I see. Yeah, she's been doing a lot of traveling.
Yeah, she's been doing a lot of traveling.
So I think she's. I mean, if that comes up, we'll talk about it. But it's not like there's any dark secrets, and we haven't been keeping her under wraps. She's not in Area 51 or anything like that.
No, that's right.
Do we think that we have thank you for the donation from F. Suso. Do we think that the Charlie Kirk assassination could be a deep state false flag operation that will unite the right and get them off their demands for the Epstein files?
No. I doubt it. No.
I think this is a person. Obviously, I'm going to say disturbed because you have to be.
You have to be. Right. Seriously.
So, I mean, even if you're not like swallowing your own tongue or whatever, you're still to do this, to go and do this kind of thing.
Ted, I'm giving a talk tonight at this 9/11 Truth event that I didn't realize was 9/11 Truth when I agreed to do it. But anyway, there was a lunch that went along with it today, and I was sitting next to this guy, and he wanted to talk about Charlie Kirk. So we're talking about Charlie Kirk. It is terrible. It's awful. I can't believe it happened. There's no excuse. They're blaming the victim, blah, blah, blah. And he says, yeah, but he thinks he has this figured out. He says, the shot was perfectly at the jugular from a distance of 200 meters. Who's good at those kind of pinpointed attacks? The Israelis. This is a Mossad operation. I just said, stop. Just stop, please. I'm not going to have this conversation. Just stop.
Unfortunately, look, I love spaghetti westerns, but like movies like Hang 'em High and like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where the guy shoots the rope from 400 yards away. I mean, you're supposed to I think that when those movies were made, most viewers were familiar enough with guns to know that it was kind of a joke and kind of impossible. And now I think people think that stuff's real. They think that Bob Odenkirk can have the shit beaten out of him, and he's not he's not dead or anything.
Yeah. You're exactly right. Yes.
The thing is, the guy got the shot off, obviously, right? I assume she fired at the head. I mean, but basically, if you shoot at someone's head and you hit any part of their body,
you're going to kill them.
That's a good job. You did, you did what you came for. You don't get.
That's right.
You can't aim for a specific part of the body like that. For the. I mean, that's just I can't say lucky. I mean, but it's a very precise. I don't even know. It's not precise. It's just that's where it struck.
Yes,
that's all.
John Doe, an ex-CIA officer attending a conference called 9/11 Truth. I know, man. This is killing me.
I hope there's an honorarium.
Which is the only reason I was doing it. It's $500 I didn't have yesterday. And then my manager's like, what? $10,000. Okay. He said, I'm going to strangle you for taking $500.
I kind of think I'm on team manager here. I don't think it's enough money. Everyone's got a price, and I'm one of those people. But that price is not high enough.
I'll tell you a secret.
You're going to be upset, but in 3 hours from now, you're going to be not happy.
You're exactly right. Besides the fact that it's at 9:45 p.m. and I'm usually winding down by then.
Oh, fuck. I'm asleep by then.
I know, right? But I saw something on eBay that I wanted, and I thought, here's an easy 500. I'll just do that. I kicked myself. Oh, well.
Let's see. Adam Fighter says, I think you guys need to address this. People are conflating speaking negatively about Charlie Kirk's opinions and celebrating his death.
That's a good point.
I agree with that. Look, I'm probably no one is probably more famous in this country for speaking ill of the dead than me. I mean,
you've been in trouble for it.
I did. I said bad things about people like President Reagan the day that he died. I said he's turning crispy brown by now. Sean Hannity couldn't stop talking about it. Said, you have no soul. That's what he said. I was like, coming from Sean Hannity, he wouldn't know his soul if it bit him in his ass. But Pat Tillman, lots of people, and
sure.
And the point is, and I was kind of famous for my anti obituaries that kind of call into question people who were highly regarded, and revisited them, like Jimmy Carter and people like that. Okay, so there is no better time to assess someone's life than at the time of their death. Yeah. And for a public figure like Charlie Kirk, Ted Rall, or John Kiriakou, the time of our death is the time when what we've said and done will be assessed and should be assessed. It's appropriate. And it's very different to say, look, I'm not glad that he's dead.
Right.
And I'm not even glad that his voice has been silenced. And I don't agree or like a lot of the things that he's said. And I think you should be able to just say, like, you can even say, like, this guy was an asshole.
Yeah.
But no one should have killed that asshole. You can say that. I think that's totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I've gotten in trouble too for obituaries that I've written for Covert Action Magazine. Anytime somebody associated with the CIA's torture program dies, I write a really mean-spirited alternative obituary saying that the world is better off without them in it. And I wrote one 3 or 4 years ago where the guy's daughter called me.
Oh shit!
And she was like, "Shame on you, you monster." And I said, "You want to see a monster? Take a look at your father and imagine the people that he murdered. Sorry, but now's not the time to try to pretty things up. He had that opportunity in 2002, and he elected to be with the bad guys." By
the way, Candace Strike, I have no opinion about whether Charlie Kirk was a nice guy or not, because the only thing I only knew about him in the abstract. I lost track of him after he founded Turning Point. And, I didn't even know he'd become this big influencer and he was huge and all that. So I had to look him up and and I was like, oh yeah,
really?
He's that guy. I don't really follow all the people in the right wing,
for whatever reason, he's in my TikTok feed like every 4th or 5th short for the last 2 years. And because I'm, on my knees begging for a pardon from these MAGA people, I've been sort of on the edge of the same circle, and everybody says the same thing, that he was a real sweetheart as a person. He was just a really great guy. I've not met him.
You never know. Okay, so like Bill O'Reilly, he was a really nice man to me. So nice.
Really? I found him to be such a dick.
No, what happened was he had been a dick, and then I was getting all these death threats, and I was on his show all the time. I had a frequent flyer pass at Fox News Security, and they and one time before the show, he's like, "Ted, I hear a lot of things on my end, really bad things, and I'm worried about you. I think I'm worried that someone's going to do something to you.
Jeez.
If you ever want to get out of the city, and you just need a place to, I have a house upstate. It's yours for as long as you want. Wow. Just take it and go." And I was like, "Bill, thank you so much." And
wow,
it was really.
I'm astounded by that.
I figured you would be. Yeah,
he was such an ass to me. I can't even imagine the words coming out of his mouth.
I know. I mean, this was after I'd been on like 20 times, and he'd always been a dick to me. But I think there was a certain point that he just. I think that the killing, the death threats, it just went too far for him.
I was on that BBC show Crosstalk, I think it's called. It's like the 60 Minutes of the UK.
Yeah.
I think it's called Crosstalk.
Well, there was the RT show, Crosstalk.
Not the RT show.
Which was a great show, by the way.
It was the BBC. It was, yeah. But the BBC show, I forget what it's called now. But anyway, I was warned in advance they're going to just take you apart. It's what they do. And they did. Man, I went on and I felt just like crying at the end of it.
Yeah,
although I held my own. And then when we finished it, before we went off, the guy says, "Hey, I heard you got an award in London, and in the event that you can't come, because I know you have some travel restrictions, I'm happy to accept the award on your behalf." And I was like, "Oh, okay. You just called me some of the most horrible things that anybody's ever called me in my life." But okay. And then I actually was denied entry into the UK. So
Jace, by the way, says that this show is called Hard Talk.
Hard Talk.
And I remember this show. I've seen this show.
Thank you.
It's great, by the way.
It is great. Yeah. But you got to go in there ready.
Because they're fucking Brits, man. Yeah. When the Brits mix it up, they don't come with any hands tied behind their backs.
That's right.
They're funny and smart as shit.
He went to the event. Actually, it's the one behind me right there. That glass thing with the blue glass inside the clear glass.
Oh yeah.
He went and accepted the award for me, and then he mailed it. It cost like $150 to mail it at his own expense.
I am with Adam Fighter that we are describing borderline personality behavior. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
That's so true.
By the way, okay, so donation from F Huso seemed like a professional hit, one shot and gone. I disagree with that. I think it was a lucky hit, and there was no point doing a second shot. What do you think?
I think that you're right, Ted, and I think that we're making too much of the fact that it hit his jugular. Mm-hmm. I think he was probably aiming for the head or the neck or the chest or whatever. He was off just a little bit, and
it was a long enough range that he targeted a little high.
I think so.
Might have been a little wind. Who knows? Okay, so Jones Jameson, not to be confused with James Joneson. Thanks for the donation. What do we think of the House Rules Committee blocking a vote to end selective service? Will the potential for another draft ever go away? And by the way, let me add a question to that for you, John. How the fuck can America's women live with themselves and call themselves feminists and not insist that they be drafted alongside men?
That's an op-ed right there. And you are 100% right. Either we're all feminists who support equality or we're not. And
I can't believe this thing. Yeah. My son could be drafted into one of America's myriad of idiotic wars, but his girlfriend can't be? Really? Ridiculous.
No, I agree. I said something on Facebook about a year ago that, I consider myself a feminist, but the way I was raised, you hold the door open for a woman, and I
hold the door open for men too, though.
I do too. I hold the door open for men too, but I feel uncomfortable about a woman paying for a date to the point where I just won't allow it to happen.
Well, especially a first date, yeah.
Especially, but for me, it's any date. I just can't do it. And then a friend of mine from college, a woman, answered like, "How dare you? I am your equal in every way. And if we ever went on a date, I would demand to pay at least half." And I said,
"Is she cute? What's her number?" No, just kidding.
She's happily married with a 25-year-old son. And I said, maybe that's why we never met. We never went out, because I just wouldn't, but other than that, I think you're exactly right, Ted. Either we're going to have the draft for everybody or we have the draft for nobody.
And I don't see how it's constitutional under the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. I just don't.
I agree.
We got a lot of comments here, and I guess we're questions. Okay, from Soden 20. What's your
We have a lot of questions.
Oh yeah, okay. Soden 2324.
You,
John and Ted, what do you think about the Qatari Prime Minister saying that Bibi is deliberately trying to plunge the Middle East into chaos?
Yeah.
Well, I think he's 100% right.
100%.
And do you think more Arab nations will speak out against him and his government? Yeah, I do.
It's coming. It's coming. Once one of the big ones does, once the Egyptians or the Saudis say something, it's going to open the floodgates. And I think there's actually pressure on a lot of the big Arab governments from the likes of France and Ireland and Canada and maybe Australia. So I think that's coming.
Egypt would be a big deal.
That would be a big one.
And then Jacob Decker, thanks for the donation. Killing someone speaking a different point of view is an attack on the First Amendment. You're here.
100%.
Couldn't agree more. And
Amen.
I would now, here I'm going to be a cynical bastard here. If this had happened to me, I sincerely doubt that Charlie Kirk would have gone on to his podcast and deplored what happened to me. I sincerely doubt it. And I sincerely doubt that the president would have the flags at half mast for me until Sunday. And I seriously doubt that my dead ass would be getting a presidential Medal of Freedom.
Yeah.
I don't like how this is being politicized. It was a political act, and treating it as a political act just validates what the killer did.
Yeah, I agree. I'll tell you another thing too, Ted, about this poor Charlie Kirk thing. Almost all of my friends, like real friends, not just Facebook friends, people I've never really met, whether they're from the left or the right or someplace in between, everybody is absolutely appalled by this. And everybody is afraid of the direction that the country is taking. You and I were talking about it yesterday after the show. I talked about it with my brother and sister last night. My son was so upset. He called me at 10:30 to say he's just so upset about this Charlie Kirk thing. And he's, at least as left as I am. But I hope this serves as a wake-up call for the country. And I keep coming back to this.
It's not, because we don't have.
I was afraid you were going to say that.
We don't have the leadership.
No, we don't have the leadership.
Like literally, the person who's supposed to tell us stop acting like fucking children and grow up and understand the difference between words and violence.
Yeah.
And understand that free speech. There's no obligation for anyone to speak in such a way that you won't take offense. And stop. And like, if an American dies from murder, that's an American who died. It's not a right winger or a left winger.
That's right.
It's
an American.
We need someone
it's
like
a young father, which bothers me very, very much.
Me too. 2 kids. It's right in front of them, by the way. And not to mention traumatizing hundreds of college students out and trying to enjoy a nice day. Disgusting. And so the point is, but Donald Trump is politicizing this. And, I'm not going to go so far as to say like he's responsible for this, because I don't think it works that way.
No,
but I do think that he's not providing the leadership that we need to be able to have this be like a snap out of our bullshit moment.
Ted, let me interrupt you for a minute for 2 things. Number
Please.
1, Robbie's telling us we have an ad.
Oh, okay.
But I want to
Put it up when you're ready, Rob.
Chris MZTZ TC too. Thank you for the donation. He's got a great question here, Ted, regarding the New York Times article about the SEAL Team 6 mission in North Korea. How does the story like that leak out? Wouldn't it be a national security risk to expose that? And if in charge, would I approve? Oh, what a great 3 questions. So number 1, somebody who opposed it and was overruled leaked that story.
100%.
And I can tell you that from my own experience at the CIA, 99 times out of 100, the leak came from the Pentagon. They leak like sieves over there, and they're so gigantic, and they don't polygraph anybody, that it's just impossible to know where the leaks came from. Number 1, how does a story like that leak out? Okay, wouldn't it be a national security risk to expose it? You bet it is.
Yeah, of course, because it exposes methodology.
Sources and methods.
Kim Jong-un knows something now that he didn't know before.
That's right.
And he's going to be more careful.
Espionage. Yep.
Right. Okay,
yep.
Let me read this ad. Looking for a comfortable but unique option for your gaming setup? Check out technosportusa.com. With a wide array of ergonomic chairs in an array of colors, you will definitely bring your setup to the next level. Always comfy, never boring. Technosport. Use code RUMBLE for 10% off your entire order. That sounds good. I want one myself.
I like that.
I'm a whore for a comfortable chair.
I got to say too, when we got our first ad on YouTube, it was REI, and I really like REI. I was so proud that it was them and not like erectile dysfunction or something, because you knew that was coming
or not coming. Oh my God! So yeah, I mean, okay. So then, and by the way, if in charge, would you have approved of this operation?
Oh, absolutely not. Because if you compare the upside to the risk of blowback, the risk of blowback, in my view, is too great. I wouldn't have approved it.
All right, let me ask you a bigger question. Are SEAL Team 6 a bunch of tards? I mean, they mess up a lot, right?
A lot.
So,
and not only do they mess up a lot of them get killed in the course of the operation. Yeah. Yeah. No.
I mean, are they too? I mean, I know you do need people who are badass and brave and willing to do whatever. But,
yeah.
But you also want your people to come home.
You do. You want your people to come home.
To be exposed.
Yep, that is right. Robbie's telling us we have breaking news. What kind of breaking news is that, Robbie?
Let's hear it. I bet the suspect's been caught.
Robbie?
Oh, let me put Robbie on.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Robbie, what's going on?
Hi. So just popped up that Kash Patel, he's in a little bit of hot water for calling Uncle twice about saying that they had the guy. Turned out they didn't. And so now he is personally in Utah overseeing the investigation. So the clown has left the circus and is now running the peanut gallery. So we're in good hands.
Oh, my God. Hi, Robbie. Hi. Well, that's not exactly startling, but it is funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
And JD Vance and his wife are there too.
Yeah, they're there.
And I was supposed to fly down to Fort Lauderdale on Monday to do James O'Keefe's show, and I just got a text from him canceling it because Charlie Kirk's going to be buried on Monday, and he's going to go to the funeral.
Yeah, apparently Vice President Vance and the Second Lady are going to escort Charlie's remains on Air Force Two to Arizona, I guess from Utah. I guess that's where Charlie Kirk is from, or he's going to be laid to rest. Robbie, you called, by the way, that what kind of long gun you thought would probably...
You really did. You said specifically it was a 30-06, and it was a 30-06.
Why did you think that? And that's what was recovered in the woods near the university.
Well, a couple of reasons. One, it's if you're going to make that kind of a shot, you're going to use a bolt-action rifle. 30-06 is a proven round. It's over 100 years old. And you can either run them hot or you can run them cold, depending on on what it is you're looking for. And they have a very specific report. And so if you shoot a lot, like I do, you get to know what it sounds like. And the people saying kind of like that turkey you're talking to earlier, John, about you got to be a professional sniper to do something like this.
No, you don't.
No, if you, I have an old Argentine Mauser that was made in Germany back in the 1890s.
Is that it's a single shot? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bolt action. So what you do, it has a 5-round magazine, and what's neat about them is that the barrels are milled; they're not stamped. So they have really deep grooves, and whenever you can make a 200 to 400 yard shot with iron sights behind the ear of a deer with no problem at all.
Wow!
And what it is a heavy bullet. So what y'all talking about is right. What you do is that you aim higher. What is it you're going for? Because you got drift. Yeah. Well, that's what happened. I think most likely he was aiming for his face. The bullet drifted and it got him in the neck. And either way, it's a kill shot. The job is done. If you're hunting deer, that's what you want. Hunting a person, I don't know. It just depends on how much of a mess you want to make.
All right, Robbie, thanks for that. Well, I'm sure we'll. And that really was. I was kind of amazed that you were able to call it that. He
called it.
Yep. Hey, I grew up in the South shooting. I mean, this is not hard.
You did. And by the way, I strongly recommend anybody who hasn't heard it yet to go into Rumble Studio, Rumble Premium, and watch the Robbie interview. And by the way, John, we're doing part 5 tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Looking forward to that.
It's going to be all about prison.
Oh, question for Robbie. I'm going to put Robbie back up here. $5 donation from USC XXX A-Rod 21. As a person of the right, are you comfortable with people like Bongino and Patel running agencies like this?
Good question.
Seems like these guys are always swimming.
If I had it my way, the FBI would have been abolished the very first day of Trump's presidency, because Trump promised to drain the swamp. Well, the way that you drain the swamp is by gutting it. You don't go in and say, I'm going to give you a brand spanking new headquarters. Now, Trump is just a total blowhard. If I had it my way, it would be gone. The CIA would be destroyed. The FBI would no longer exist.
Another question for you, Robbie. Sorry to interrupt, but it's what I do. Tusk PC wants to know, I thought you were blind in one eye. How good of a shot are you?
Used to be really good. Now, not so much. Having to teach myself how to shoot left-handed using a 22. So it's a pain.
Oh, shit. It's like learning how to drive using the stick on the left, which
it sucks.
In England.
Yeah.
But I mean, growing up, I used to hunt squirrels and rabbits all the time using a single shot 22. Wow. If you're doing that, shooting a deer with a 30-06, it's not a problem.
No, I mean, the thing is also, God, I remember living in Long Island. You could just drive your car up to a deer and it'd be 10 feet away from you, and you could just pop it point blank range. I mean, I have to
not
beep exactly
at them.
Brave.
I beep at them behind my house to get out of the way. I gotta go.
Yeah, they're kind of like they're not really that.
No. I saw a big buck the other day. I'm like beeping at the buck, flashing my brights at him. Like, get off the road for God's sake.
Here we have elk walking down the road. I mean,
those are big boys.
God.
Oh yeah.
All right, Robbie. Thanks for that. We'll let you know if we have more questions. I really do love this question from JR99 over on the YouTube feed. Why doesn't security for outdoor events use drones for surveillance?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a fucking good question.
It is. It's cheap.
It's easy.
There's no reason not to.
No. I mean, the thing is, I wonder how much security there really was here. Like, I mean, obviously there was a threat, but I mean, they didn't treat him like he was the president of the United States, and
No.
I don't really blame them. I mean, you know, he's just he's an influencer.
But still, Ted,
there's a million of those.
Still, Ted, the building where they're telling us the shooter was on the roof, that building closed down for renovation in April and was supposed to be locked up tight. And did it not occur to anybody in the campus police department to just, you know, sweep the building, walk up to the roof, just make sure nobody's up there?
I mean, by the way, I mean, where did we hear about something very similar in the very recent past? A gunman kicking around on the roof, right? I mean, it's like this is what happened to Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. You would think by now it'd be kind of a standard operating procedure. I got to ask you also, what do you make of the fact that the cartridges bearing quote unquote transgender and anti-fascist inscriptions were written? I mean,
has that been confirmed?
It's been confirmed according to the authorities. So I'm wondering if Luigi Mangione was an inspiration. I've never heard of anyone doing that before.
Never. No, that would take work. You know, you can't just like go to the gun shop and say, give me some of those trans bullets, right? That's not how it works. There's work involved.
I thought I was a 45, but now I identify as a 38.
Oh my God.
I'm a 38 and trapped in the body of a 9mm. That's hilarious.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. It's one of those.
I've got to think I really think we're going to find out this was a Luigi thing and that the person was inspired by Luigi. I think we're going to find that out. Similar age.
This is bad.
Someone in their 20s.
Yeah.
You know, if they catch him.
Telling us if they catch, they'll catch him.
Although, apparently he left. In which we have a photo of someone like that, fuzzy, but a photo, and they're not caught.
Oh no! They've further enhanced it. About an hour ago, this looks to be as clear as, you know, some kid's high school graduation picture. And besides that, he left a handprint, palm print, and a print from his arm. And his face was sweaty where he had the gun up against his face. So he left DNA all over the doggone thing. He threw the gun in the woods. It hasn't rained or anything. The cops found the gun. This kid is an idiot, and he's going to get caught. He's going to get caught.
Luigi was an idiot. He left a bag of evidence in Central Park. Nobody ever goes there.
Right. And then took off his mask so he could flirt with the girl at the youth hostel.
Absurd.
Idiot.
Yeah, total idiot. All right. So let's see what else here. Okay. So anyone, Hamish McInnes is saying anyone who knew the person of interest would recognize them from that photo.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's any world in which they get away with it.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
It's only a matter of time. I just hope that when the person's caught, that he's caught alive. First of all, we don't need more death. And secondly, I want to know what the motivation is. The Butler, Pennsylvania thing, we're never going to really know what happened because he's dead.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then they gave the body back to the families so they could cremate him before anybody ever had a chance to even examine him.
Big boss Bob Ross is correct. He said Luigi took off the mask at the hostel because it was required for check-in. Okay, but Bob, he could have said "fuck you" and left. I mean, it's Manhattan. Okay, there are hundreds of hotels. Okay, I mean, he could have gone somewhere else, right? Let's see. We have a $5 donation from Amir linked up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What's going on with all this UFO stuff? It seems like it's being used as a distraction. Every time there's bad economic data coming out, Elizondo seems like a grifter. Would like to hear your thoughts. The economic data is really fucking bad.
It's bad.
And it's a topic that we're not talking about. I mean, you know, John, you and I are old enough to know that like job creation of 22,000 is catastrophic. I mean,
it is.
Usually that means you're in the middle of a hardcore recession. And it could have been worse if not for all the deportations, right? I mean,
right.
It does look like our friend Mr. Lorea is correct, and that we are headed towards stagflation, which is not good. Inflation with a stagnant economy is really not the worst, but it's a very bad scenario. I mean,
it cost Jimmy Carter his presidency, and it took us 10 years to dig out of, 8 years to dig out of.
It sure did.
So yeah, this is.
I would argue that we didn't get a real recovery until the 90s.
I think you are right, because really, the Reagan recovery was a
year and a half
one. Yeah, and it was a false one, because you can't cut taxes and increase spending at the same time, and then just hope like magic that the economy grows because all the rich people are spending the tax money that they didn't have to pay.
Yeah. I mean, at least they're collecting money from tariffs. But as Benjamin Drouhot says, I like how they celebrate the amount of money coming in from tariffs, like it isn't a tax on all U.S. consumers.
I know, right?
And companies. Yeah, that's us paying that. It would almost be more honest if they just slammed it. Robbie says we've been in a depression here in Montana for years. Fair enough.
Wow.
That's kind of stagflation, what they have there, actually. High prices, no jobs.
Just as we were coming on the air, I got my 5 days a week, I guess it's 6 days a week, hyper local news update. And it said that housing prices in Arlington, Virginia, as well as DC and Alexandria, Virginia, are down 4.1% year over year. This is the first drop in housing prices in close-in suburban Washington since 1991. Can you imagine?
This is the urban problem that, again, nobody's talking about. I mean, COVID accelerated it, right?
Yeah.
But with work at home, you don't need to live in a city, right? I mean, why? I mean, I loved living. I went to college as a freshman here in New York in 1981. I mean, think about like my first week in school. The first week in school, I was photographed in Time magazine throwing a bottle at Mayor Koch. I went to see Blondie at the Peppermint Lounge for $3 with sawdust on the floor. I went to Studio 54.
Wow.
All in the same week, right? I mean, I raged. I lost my virginity. It was awesome. Like now, if I'm 18 years old, what the fuck is there to do? What am I going to do? Sephora?
Right.
There's no nightclubs. There's nothing to do. You don't have your job will be from your computer, which you can do anywhere. It's boring and hard and expensive. That's not and you don't need to be in a city to date anymore. You have the apps for that. So
that's right.
So I don't know. I feel like cities are in trouble, and they're going to have to become cheaper in order to adjust. Yeah. Thanks for the donation, Angela. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Angela. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. My first week at college, freshman year, Abby Hoffman came to campus and gave a speech.
How awesome is that?
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I still think about it every once in a while. He committed suicide not too long after that, but he was great, really great. He had gone to one of the fraternities earlier in the day, and he bought somebody's old TV, and then he plugged it in. Reagan was giving a nationally televised talk for whatever reason. This would have been in August of 1982. And so while Reagan was talking, the TV was just sitting on a folding chair up on the stage. While Reagan was talking, Abby Hoffman walked off stage, walked back on with a sledgehammer, and smashed the TV to a million pieces. People were screaming, cheering. It was great.
That's so punk rock. I love that. Speaking of punk rock, I saw the Clash that year too. Wow. And the Ramones and the Dead Kennedys.
Oh my God.
It was awesome. None of that stuff's true anymore. And it's not like, I know it's all different bands, but the music scene, there is no music scene the way there used to be.
No.
Anyway, let's talk a little bit about, we can just check in. Do we care about Jair Bolsonaro? I mean, so.
Yeah, we do.
He's been convicted.
He's been convicted. But I think the reason we should care, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ted.
Go ahead.
I think the reason we should care is that Donald Trump has threatened already to put sanctions on all of the Brazilian Supreme Court justices were they to find him guilty. So now they found him guilty. And not only is Trump now discussing sanctions on the judges, he's talking about sanctions against Lula, which is a really dumb idea because God knows Donald Trump has a lot more investment in Brazil than Lula has, probably $0 investment in the United States. And what is there to stop Lula from sanctioning Donald Trump and freezing his Brazilian assets?
Which he has.
There you go. Good.
Well, we'll see what happens there. All right, let's get to something that does really has me furious. So you remember, of course, obviously the Venezuelan boat that the administration bragged about on social media. They said it was Tren de Aragua, quote unquote, terrorists because they have designated Tren de Aragua a terrorist organization. It was a boat headed from Venezuela apparently to Trinidad. They blew it up with a drone. We now know that it was with a drone. We thought it was for drone, just it looked like drone footage. 11 people dead, according to the Defense Department. So anyway, it turns out that finally they've gotten around to briefing the Gang of Four people, right? So Senate Armed Services Committee Chairman Jack Reed came out of the briefing pissed off. So he said that there was no evidence presented in the briefing whatsoever that said that the targets were armed, posed any threat, were members of Tren de Aragua, were carrying drugs, were headed to the United States, were even from Venezuela. No evidence of anything. These were 11 random people that they killed for no reason whatsoever. And that's it. And so, I'm sure Jack Reed's not lying. If he was lying, the administration would have been quick to point it out. This is really, I hate to say it. You and I, we knew this was probably going to be true or might be true. But it's like, I hate to be disappointed like this. I hate to be proven right in something like this. I wanted them to. It wouldn't have been legal even if these guys were Tren de Aragua, even if they were drug dealers. It wouldn't have been legal. They should have interdicted them. But
I agree.
And it's not even our business. They weren't even coming to the United States.
They weren't.
The Trinidad authorities didn't ask for help. So, this is no one's going to give a shit because they're brown people, right?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, Ted. Nobody's going to give a shit. And most Americans just take the White House's word for it, or the Pentagon's word, no matter who happens to be in charge. If it fits into the national narrative that whoever these guys were on this boat were terrorists, were Tren de Aragua, or were carrying cocaine or whatever, they're just going to jump up and down and say, great. Now, I think that the chances are pretty good that these were just fishermen who saw, whatever it was, a ship in the distance or drones in the distance and said, oh, crap, let's get back to port, and turned around and started to rush back and then got rocketed. Terrible.
Yeah, that's the thing too, right? The U.S. Supreme Court ruled a long time ago that if you come up to a police checkpoint and then you run away from the cops because you're afraid of the cops, that does not provide the police with probable cause. But that's exactly the rationale that the administration used to say that they were right to blow up this boat. They said that the boat spotted the drone and then seemed to turn away from it. I don't know about you. If I saw an armed drone approach me, I'd turn away from it too. Doesn't mean I'm Tren de Aragua or that I'm Venezuelan or that I'm carrying drugs or anything else.
No, that's exactly right. We've had a question about UAPs and Elizondo, I forget his first name, but he's like Mr. UAP these days. You think he's a grifter? I've tried to walk a fine line on this issue, but I saw what I saw when I was 16, 17 years old. I've told that story, and I can't deny anybody else the account of their own personal experience, but I also don't understand why the Pentagon doesn't just release this information, or why the White House doesn't just declassify the information, why it has to leak out, and why we have to have people being called to testify on Capitol Hill as whistleblowers, risking their own imprisonment, were they to be charged under the Espionage Act, just to say, yeah, I'm an F-18 pilot, And I saw this thing moving at a fantastic speed, and it paralleled me, and then it took off at, the speed of light practically. And then the Pentagon denies that any such thing has taken place. For a long time, and you'll remember this, there was worry that if the government were to admit that there were UAPs or UFOs, that people would panic. Well, the word leaked out, and nobody gave a shit. There was no panic. Everybody's like,
they had more faith in us back then. They thought that we might have a pulse.
See, that's right.
That we might react to something.
That's
Apparently
right.
Nothing. It would be like not the day that the Earth stood still. It would be like the day that the Earth kept looking at its phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yesterday was the anniversary of the disappearance of this Australian pilot. I'm sure you've heard of this case. There's this Australian pilot in his early 20s. I think he was 23 years old. He was flying. It was September 10th, 1978. I saw several different references to this yesterday. He's flying, and he said that there was a silver cylinder above his plane flying at exactly the same rate of speed. And then he's radioing back saying, there's this thing, it's right on top of me, and it's flying the same rate of speed. I don't know what it is. He's describing it. It's silver, it's shiny. And then he came back and he said, it's not an aircraft, he said. And then there was this loud sound of like electronic interference. Nobody ever saw him or heard from him again. They never found him. They never found the plane. They never found anything. So why keep that secret? Why not just say, hey, look, there's something up there. We don't know what the heck it is.
Right.
There you have it.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Originally, right? Unidentified does not mean alien.
Exactly.
It just means unidentified.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see.
Let me say one more thing about Luis Elizondo. When I had my show on RT, people used to tell me all the time, you have to have Luis Elizondo on. He's an expert. So I did some research, and what I found was him saying repeatedly that he's an expert. I don't know what the heck he's an expert on, but he sure likes to get out there and be the UFO guy, and it just wasn't. It wasn't a fit for me.
So I have this rule, John, which is that if someone voluntarily says something that it describes themselves as having a positive attribute, they not only don't have that attribute, they are the opposite. So if someone just sort of says, like if I ask you, John, are you a good tipper? And you say, yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm like, if you just say, Ted, by the way, I tip really great. I'm a fucking great tipper. Waiters love me. Then I know you're a tightwad for sure. And that everyone hates you, and there's spit in all of your food everywhere in the DC metro area. And that's what if someone says, oh, by the way, I'm an expert on blah, blah, blah. No one who's actually an expert ever says that. It's like they just are, and people talk to them about that topic. And, no one has to ask you about you're never saying, well, by the way, I, John Kiriakou, am an expert in this and that. You just are. And, that's how it is. Like, like on a date, if someone says, oh, I'm really good in bed. Oh, man, I mean, I lay pipe. Like, you will be fucking screaming. You will lose track of who you are. You'll space-time will change. That's a lie. You're like dead bed. All right, let me read this out here.
Yeah.
Ready to level up your game? AIM Controllers is where custom meets unbeatable value, and right now it's the best deal of the year. We start with official Sony and Xbox controllers, fully compatible with console and PC, no functionality lost. Then you go wild with custom features, smart bumpers, paddles, grips, stick height, custom buttons, even design your own PS5 snap panels. And here's the part no one else is doing. Lifetime warranty on all modified parts. That's right, lifetime. What other company does that? Exactly. Normally, a fully loaded setup could run you $400, but during our one price promo, it's just $209 or 182 euros, no matter how many features you add. Use code RUMBLE at checkout and lock it in. This is your sign. Go to aimcontrollers.com and build the last controller you'll ever need. That sounds appealing, and I don't even game.
I want to say one other thing too. I was sitting next to this guy at this 9/11 truther lunch today, and he was telling me how interested he is in this issue, and he's talked to everybody who's out there to talk to, and he starts naming people, and he mentioned Susan Lindauer. And so I said to him, be careful of Susan Lindauer. And he asked me why. And I said, honestly, I believe she's a fraud. And he said, what do you mean if she's a fraud? She was the secret back channel to Saddam Hussein. And I said, exactly my point. No, she wasn't. And I said, I actually confronted her. There was this big whistleblower event. It's the only one that she somehow got into. It was on the roof of the Hay Adams Hotel here in Washington, across the street from the White House. And I was shocked to see her there. And she came up to me and introduced herself. And I was kind of cold. And I said, oh, yes, I know who you are. And she confronted me. And she asked me why I wasn't friendlier, more supportive. Besides the fact that when she was prosecuted, they actually ended up dropping the charges because she was mentally unable. Like, she was too insane to be tried. So they just dropped the charges. But I said to her, look, I'll tell you the truth. You tell everybody that you were the secret back channel to Saddam Hussein, and I know you're lying. And the reason I know you're lying is because I briefed the secret back channel to Saddam Hussein, and it wasn't you.
Oh, man.
And I said to him, he says, oh, come on. I find that hard to believe. I said, I've never said the name, but I'm going to say the name because the secret back channel is dead. He's dead now. So I'm going to say the name. I said, when I was in Bahrain, we got a cable from the State Department saying David Rockefeller is coming to Bahrain to accept an award from the Bahrain U.S. Banking Society and give him the red carpet treatment and give him what's called a country team briefing. So a country team briefing is the ambassador, the deputy chief of mission, the head of the economic section, the head of the political section, the head of public affairs, the head of everything. If there's a station chief there, he gets the full classified briefing. So he flew in on a Thursday. The weekend in Bahrain is Thursday and Friday. He flew in, and I was his control officer, so I picked him up in the embassy's, giant Cadillac, and there was a red carpet, and we went straight to the embassy, did the full classified country team briefing, and then the emir had a big dinner for him. The whole cabinet was invited. The entire diplomatic corps was invited. Big dinner at the palace. There was a receiving line, so we shake hands with the emir and the prime minister and the crown prince and Mr. Rockefeller. So a couple of days later, a day later, he had his ceremony at the Bahrain U.S. Banking Society. They give him his little trophy, and then he leaves. So Saturday, which was the first day of the work week, I go into the ambassador's office for the morning meeting, and he said, so Mr. Rockefeller got off okay? And I said, yeah, he got off okay. It was really cool meeting him. But I said, but why would a guy who's almost 100 years old fly halfway around the world to collect a little trophy from some banking organization nobody's ever heard of? And the ambassador goes, John, you're supposed to be the smart one. And I said, why? What am I missing here? And the station chief starts to laugh. And the ambassador says, John, he's the secret back channel to Saddam Hussein. This was his cover stop. And I was like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot, which is why we gave him the classified briefing. And he said, exactly. So I said to Susan Lindauer, it wasn't you, Susan Lindauer. You were not the secret back channel to Saddam Hussein.
Unless she used to be a dude and she used to be dead. So she's trans alive and trans female.
Yeah. And another thing too, this was the press secretary. She was the press secretary to a first-term congressman from New Jersey. And she says that the CIA secretly chose her to fly out to Saddam Hussein and tell him, listen, you better start towing the line, Saddam Hussein. And I'm like, yeah, that never happened.
John, it really strikes me like this, like being in the CIA, because people aren't allowed to talk about their experiences, it just opens up this space for all these liars to basically say that they did that and the other. It reminds me of a little bit of the journalists that I knew in Afghanistan, who would make things up, and they'd be like, no one's ever going to check out my story and fucking, Mazari Sharif. I can say whatever. Right. And it's like, and for the most part, they were right. I mean, no one ever knew anything. I knew a guy who worked for Travel and Leisure. Sorry, I'm lying. Condé Nast Traveler. And he wrote this piece, this flowery
high-end magazine.
He wrote this flowery piece. I couldn't get published in there. Flowery piece about taking the train from Ashgabat, Turkmenistan to Mashhad, Iran, and talked about how beautiful it was, the lace curtains on the windows, how good the tea was. And I'm like, man, I would love to take that fucking train. But that train has never been constructed. It's been, and so the reason that he thought Lonely Planet Guide said it's expected to be completed in 2 years. Well, the Lonely Planet Guide was 4 years old, so the fucker picked up a copy and assumed it must be done by now. I called up, and
not cool at all.
And this shit happens all the time,
without a doubt. Hey, we should plug the good people at Rumble.
Yes.
They've been very good to us.
Yes. Thank you very much, Rumble, anyway, please go over to Rumble and watch us over there. That's the main thing, because we make more money there, and they've been very supportive, and we're in the Rumble Creative Program. And we have Rumble Premium content over there. For $5 a month, you can watch us and the Rumble Premium content, and you get like a special little doodad when you comment. And for $10 a month, you can have those privileges for all content over on Rumble. So please do that. Also, USC XXX A-Rod 21 has, I would say, been patiently waiting, but has been waiting. I don't know if they're patient or not. John, come on. There's aliens, right? Parts of the government have to know.
There have to be. There have to be. I mean, maybe they're just little bacteria. Who knows? But I was talking to a guy the other day, a guy who he presents as very serious, and he was telling me that he's doing a book about Area 58, and I said Area 51. He said no, Area 58. It's even
like 51
more
plus 7.
Plus 7 more. And it's that much more secret, and that there's an underground bunker at Area 58. And that is where the alien ships come in to land. And we call it the embassy, because that's where we liaise with the aliens. I'm like, okay. But you know what? I mean, I've learned so much about government after having left government that who knows. And Algerian Corsair, forgive me. Okay, you wanted to hear about this 9/11 truth thing.
And then we have to get to Iran-Contra.
We have to get to Iran-Contra. So I've got a friend who's a PR guy, and he ran into a really bad period in life. His wife left him. He lost his job. The people that used to work for him sued him. He was arrested. It was just bad. But listen, I'm one of the most loyal people out there. And so he's still my friend, and I wanted to express, support. So he's finally getting back on his feet again. He's still doing PR, but he used to do PR for Julian Assange and WikiLeaks and all these left-wing groups and Ed Snowden. And now he does PR for the far right because they pay him. And the far left walked away. Not far left. The left walked away from him. And so he asked me a few weeks ago, hey, on the anniversary of 9/11, would you give a speech about, what 9/11 meant to you or whatever? I said, yeah, sure. He said, I'll give you $500. I said, okay, great. That was it. That was the extent of it. And then somebody saw a poster for 9/11 engineers and architects for truth.org or whatever, and it's featuring John Kiriakou and all these people who I've always considered to be like deeply insane. And I was like, doggone it, Trevor. You put me with the 9/11 Truth Organization? And he's like, yeah, well, didn't you do your due diligence? And I said, no, I trusted you. We're friends. You asked me to do it. I said, okay. So my sister called me. She's like, what are you doing? I said, I know. And she says, you have to withdraw. And I said, I can't. I made a commitment. I have to stand by my commitments. And I decided, I've thought about this a lot the last couple of weeks, but I decided that I'm going to give my speech tonight. And of all people, Dennis Kucinich is introducing me. I'm going to give my speech tonight, and I'm going to say, look, you and I will never, ever agree on whether or not Building 7 was controlled demolition. I'll never believe that it was. I will never believe that such a thing as thermite paint exists and is suddenly somehow spontaneously explosive.
No, that does not exist.
It doesn't exist. There is no such a thing.
Applied physics major, Columbia School of Engineering and Applied Science. No. Nuclear engineering originally.
But I can take a shit on the Saudis for hours without even taking a breath. And on the Israelis, both relative to the 9/11 attacks. And so
sure. That's
what I'm going to do.
And the Pakistanis probably have some,
the Pakistanis.
Some shitting upon to be done.
That's right. So there it is.
Okay, so let's talk about this is a funny story. So the Iran-Contra scandal of the late 1980s is back in the news because Ollie North has finally married his former secretary, Fawn Hall, who was famously smuggling classified documents out in her brassiere.
Yeah.
I was, if you saw her bra, what she was packing back then, you were jealous of those classified documents.
Yes, you were. She was beautiful, stunning.
So they just got married 4 decades after all of this. It was always assumed that they were stooping.
Yeah.
But they weren't.
Apparently they weren't.
They were both loyal to their spouses at the time.
Yeah.
Colonel North, 81 years old now, and Ms. Hall, 65, still young. Were married on August 27th in a civil ceremony there in Arlington County.
Yeah.
So Ms. North and Mr. North's wife of 56 years and the mother of their 4 children died in November at the age of 80. Ms. Hall had previously been married. I love this part.
I was shocked by this.
To Danny Sugarman, who managed the Doors.
He managed the Doors, of all things.
And he died in 2005, 50 years old, lung cancer.
Yeah,
but he managed the door. Dun, 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 dun. Come on, now touch me, babe. You know, I go through. I have all of their records and their CDs. I love the Doors, but I go through phases like where I suddenly am like, wait, they're kind of hacks, and I shouldn't listen to them anymore. And then I'm like, oh, I miss them so much. They're great, and then I have to play them incessantly. Does that make any sense? I mean, you know, I never liked the fact that Jim Morrison was obsessed with Frank Sinatra and was trying to sound like Frank Sinatra.
And Sinatra hated him.
Yeah. Well, Frank Sinatra was a very serious person.
Yeah.
And Jim Morrison was a fucking mess.
Yeah.
So he was incredibly unreliable. I mean, you feel sorry for the rest of the band. Speaking of a Doors connection, I'm going to see X soon. And what's his name from the Doors produced the first X album, Los Angeles.
Really?
Yeah. Ray Manzarek.
Ray Manzarek.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's a producer, big time producer at the time.
He's a musical genius who's very humble and quiet and does not really promote his genius.
Reed is saying that marshals have been deployed to Utah. I would need more details about that. Let's see what the interwebs have to say about that. What for, though? You know.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, is this to go out to? I'm not seeing anything. All right. Whatever. Okay.
Awesome. Well, lots of news today.
So yeah, for sure. So anyway, I want to just say that we talked about this earlier before we went on the air, but John, you and I both agree that we wish Ollie North and Fawn Hall nothing but the best. True love. I think that's I don't agree at all with what Ollie North did or what Fawn Hall did.
Right. Right. Nor do I. Nor do I. But I wish them happiness. I think it's nice.
Totally. Yeah. So, hey, thief, back off. I love that Ted name dropped the dead Kennedys. Y'all showing boomers can be cool. Gen X, not boomer. All right. Just saying. All right.
We're boomers.
Oh, demographically, we're boomers.
46 to 64.
Okay, but listen, the thing is 1961 to 1964, those are cusp kids. We get to choose our generation.
That's right.
Because and I'm taking the high, I get it from the highest authority, Douglas Copeland, who wrote Generation X in 1990, defined Generation X at that time as anyone then in their 20s, which meant anyone born in the 60s. Right?
Okay.
That's just arithmetic.
I'll take that.
I've obviously thought about this. So anyway, I used to be obsessed with generational politics, but just because I like the Doors doesn't mean that I'm not far more partial to Flipper.
Yeah. Anyway. True.
All right. So, all right, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. Really, truly.
Yeah,
we really
do.
appreciate
Thank you.
And so this is DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. We are here Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be back Friday tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern to bring you up to date and deprogram you from everything. Hope that you consider yourself sufficiently deprogrammed, John. I know I do. And follow, and share the show. Thanks, producer Robbie, for your assistance and gun expertise, which we will call upon in the future.
Yes, indeed.
Ciao.
It's a fun show.